Moving on, have you ever thought you had a great conversation with someone, but the next time you see them, they barely acknowledge you?
Well, don't reach for breath mint. Call wellness coach Jay Grant, who, by the way, is here to tell us how we can improve the way we communicate with each other and make an impact.
Good morning.
That's important.
Good morning.
Yeah. I didn't know you were from Asheville. I have to just say that. I grew up in Asheville. I went to AC Reynolds High School.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow, see, we're
So what a
bringing
nice
people together
surprise.
all the
Yeah.
time.
We might be related. This is pretty crazy.
Wow. Okay, so speaking of communication, you know, you guys hit it off before the show started, but sometimes you think you hit it off with somebody and you totally miss the mark, and you think you're communicating well, and they never want to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's all about emotional literacy and being able to practice not only understanding yourself, but being able to read other people. There's a lot of what's communicated between people in emotions, and emotions are real. I don't know that a lot of people put stock in that, but there's something called a functional MRI. They can actually scan and see there are neurobiological structures that make up emotions. So it comes across in what we say and how we project ourselves. And there's also something called micro-expressions. There's a guy, and actually a professor in San Francisco, that did a lot of research showing facial expressions and looking at how people react and slowing down the camera and looking how different face muscles twitch and so forth. And without you being able to realize it in just like a nanosecond, we have all of these different expressions that come across over our face that we pick up on subliminally, and people read that.
I'm starting to feel really insecure here. Do you feel like he knows exactly what you're thinking?
Yeah.
We want to know how you know exactly what somebody's thinking when you're talking to them. 'Cause we don't have an emotional MRI, most of us.
Well, I think the best place to start, like the real building block of understanding other people, is understanding yourself and getting in touch with the emotions you feel, being able to name the emotions that you feel and also attaching them to what that feeling is. So you were saying to me earlier that you were feeling maybe a little fear, apprehension.
A little jittery.
And learning that there's a message. So emotions are actually full of data and energy.
Yeah.
So the data that comes across is trying to tell you something. So with fear, it's usually saying something's unfamiliar. I need more information, and asking what is the information that you need. For instance, anger is usually saying something requires action. I feel blocked. There's something here I don't like, and then so taking a step back and saying, what is it that I don't like, and figuring that out. So when you get in touch with what your emotions are telling you, and you're centered and grounded, then you can actually communicate with other people, and they pick up on that.
Like, let's say, for instance, I want to throw up like right now because I'm nervous.
Okay, good.
For the people to clean the set. No, I don't. I mean, do you have anything that you could do? Is there anything that you could do? Let's say, for instance, that you are nervous. What can you do to kind of counter that?
Sometimes just by naming the emotion, so you're saying you're nervous or you're afraid, and then also putting it in appropriate context. So there's this continuum of emotions. So with fear, it could be everything from just maybe some boredom all the way to being terrified of something. And so kind of finding your place along that continuum and realizing that maybe it's not always at the very end. We have a tendency to talk in hyperbole, excuse me, so we exaggerate and we say things like, I'm devastated, I'm crushed, I'm terrified, but we're really not. You know, we're usually disappointed, we're a little annoyed, we're maybe a little nervous or concerned. And so putting it in the right context and practicing that, that makes a big difference.
Okay, so you admit to yourself that you're a little bit nervous, and that makes everything a little bit better, but what if you don't want the other person to know that you're a little bit nervous? Are there ways that you can hide that? Or
Call them on the phone.
Maybe you want to make them feel just as nervous and insecure as you are at that point in time. Anything, nothing? Okay.
Well, you could. I mean, there are those stress interviews. I used to hear that all the time from friends that were pre-med, that they went in for their medical interviews and someone would nail the window shut. I think this is urban myth, and then the interviewers would say, "Would you go open the window?" Of course, they can't get open. They wanted to see how you handle a stress situation.
Nice.
But
we won't do that here. Don't worry, Nikki. We're okay.
I didn't know.
No one knows.
First we have the vocabulary test, and now this. I didn't know there'd be any opening
and it's a
of
Monday
windows.
morning.
Yeah.
Wes.
Thanks.
No, truthfully, I think in putting people at ease and starting to influence them, it comes from you being grounded and you being balanced first. And there are a lot of studies actually that show that people who are really practiced in that, I mean, you can look at the extreme, say the Dalai Lama, or other people who practice meditation or prayer or mindfulness that are really centered, they actually project that out to other people. And even if you're in a situation, like an interview situation, or you're just talking with someone, if you act the way you want them to act, they actually will start to pick up on that rhythm, and they will mimic what you're doing, and it'll bring, if it's a matter of de-escalating the tension or just having someone start to agree with you a little bit more, it's very helpful in a sales situation, or customer service, or even just at home.
Yeah.
Now, what about words versus body language? Which leaves the stronger impact? Because sometimes they don't match.
Yeah, 90% of what we communicate is nonverbal. So,
90%?
Yeah, up to 90%. So it's a lot. That's what people come away with. That's what they remember. So the words, it's important to have a good vocabulary and remember the word of the day, and people will think you're educated. But when it comes right down to it,
But if you say it with conviction and you still don't know what it means, then...
Maybe jazz hands. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So really pay attention to your body language.
Absolutely. Your body language and your own emotional state. So that, because, and a great metaphor for this is an iceberg. You know how the iceberg, there's a little bit above the waterline and then there's a lot underneath it. The little bit above, those are your behaviors, those are the actions. What's underneath, the massive piece of it, are your emotions. That's what's driving the behavior. So if you don't have your emotions in check, then you're not going to communicate non-verbally. The actions, behaviors are not going to come out the way you want. So there's no way to control the top piece without identifying and really going to work and practicing on the bottom piece.
Then later you'll just be home crying, maybe eating some ice cream.
Oh, it's
curled
not
up in a
all
fetal
that
position.
bad. Oh
I'm
my
not saying
gosh.
I'm going to. I'm
Okay,
just
good.
saying, it
Okay,
can
good.
happen.
I'm still scared about the throwing up part,
Oh,
but we're
all good.
Right. Thanks, Jay, for setting us straight.
Yeah, my pleasure.
They might be related. I'm so excited.
We have to talk.
Yeah, no kidding. We have to talk about this astrology thing too.
I know, we're all over
so
that.
much to get from Nikki still.